Between the just announced Samsung Galaxy A56 and the just released iPhone 16e, which should you spend that hard-earned money on? At first look, it is evident that the iPhone 16e is a more premium device, but ideally these two devices are meant to target the same audience. So the question is, should you spend that extra premium to get the iPhone 16e, or is the Galaxy A56 just as capable? The unboxing experience of both devices are pretty much identical. It is just the phone and a charging cable. Nothing new here. Moving on to the devices, the Galaxy A56 rocks this new design in which Samsung is calling the camera bump a linear camera layout. But I think we all know it is a plot to separate the A series from the S series. It is made out of Corning Gorilla Glass Victus Plus at the rear with metal at the sides, and it comes in 4 awesome colors plus an IP67 dust and water resistant rating. On the other hand, the iPhone 16e recycles the iPhone 14 design language with that one camera bump like we had on the iPhone XR. It is made out of glass at the rear with an aluminum frame, but it comes in just 2 colors, black and white, plus a higher IP68 dust and water resistant rating. At the end of the day, design is very subjective, but one thing I can say is that both devices have really good design language. Minimal, which is something I am a fan of. Display is a whole different matter entirely. Just looking at both of them, you can easily see that the Galaxy A56 has a better looking display aesthetic with its single hole punch cutout, while the iPhone 16e sports the notch which houses the Face ID components. The Galaxy A56 sports a 6.7-inch 1080p Super AMOLED display with a 120Hz refresh rate, HDR10 Plus support, and a peak brightness of 1200 nits, while the iPhone 16e sports a similar 6.1-inch 1080p Super Retina XDR OLED display with 60Hz refresh rate, HDR support, and a peak brightness of 1200 nits as well. Now, although the iPhone 16e lacks a 120Hz refresh rate, it is a sharper and more pixel-dense display since it has more resolution at 1170 by 2532 pixels as opposed to 1080 by 2340 pixels on the Galaxy A56. That said, both displays are fantastic when it comes to viewing content, and the question is if 120Hz refresh rate is a deal breaker to you or not. Some people are totally fine with 60Hz refresh rate, and there are some tech nerds that can't even stand 60Hz refresh rate. So at the end of the day, it just boils down to your preference. If I am being real, 120Hz refresh rate, or rather the lack of 120Hz refresh rate, doesn't affect your day-to-day activities. Software is probably my favorite aspect on both of these devices. Both companies have really stable software, that is Android 15 with One UI 7 on the Galaxy A56 and iOS 18 on the iPhone 16e. If you ask me which software is better, I would say it depends on who you are and what you're already used to. Both software get the job done. You can even say one gets better optimized applications while the other allows you to do anything you want. Samsung created a new AI platform for the Galaxy A56 series called Awesome Intelligence, which isn't quite Galaxy AI, but it offers features such as circle to search, best face, object eraser, and some video editing tools, which is quite nice for a phone at this price range. That said, Apple Intelligence on the iPhone 16e is more feature packed as it is the full version on the flagship 16 series. It also offers the majority of the features found on the Galaxy A56 plus more. Software support is no issue for both brands. Samsung is offering 6 years of Android OS updates, which I don't doubt, but my issue with Samsung here is timely updates. Fine, they can give us 10-50 years of software updates, but make the updates timely. Like imagine the Galaxy S24 or the Galaxy A55 series of last year haven't gotten One UI 7, which is just a bad look, to be honest. On the other hand, the iPhone 16e is guaranteed to be supported for a long period of time, and we are also sure that the software updates will be released in a timely manner, which sparks more confidence. When it comes to performance, the iPhone 16e absolutely destroys the Galaxy A56. I mean, it's no competition really, since it uses the flagship A18 chipset compared to the Exynos 1580 on the Galaxy A56. That said, day-to-day usage will feel fine on both devices. It is when you are doing something graphically intense that you will notice the performance boost on the iPhone 16e, so stuff like gaming, rendering videos will be better on the iPhone 16e. Both phones come at 8GB of RAM, probably because of Apple intelligence and the awesome intelligence on the Galaxy A56. And for the first time ever, Samsung is starting their phone at 256GB of storage, which I think is very good value, unlike the iPhone 16e that starts at 128GB. And mind you, to upgrade to 256GB, I think you need to spend about $100 more on the iPhone 16e, which is just crazy. One thing to note is that both smartphones do not have SD card slots, so you are stuck with whichever option you go for. Personally, I would recommend a 256GB of storage. I think that should be the sweet spot in 2025. But then again, 128GB is still very usable. Powering the Galaxy A56 is a 5000 mAh battery, which is capable of lasting through the entire day and even more. Plus, it's capable of 45 watts fast charging, which will get you back to 100% in just over an hour. 68 minutes as Samsung claims. The iPhone 16e, on the other hand, has a smaller physical battery at 3961 mAh, but it is also capable of lasting you through the entire day. It charges somewhere between 20 and 25 watts, and it also has wireless charging, but it's only at 7.5 watts. Moving on to cameras, the Galaxy A56 has a lot of them: a 50 megapixel main, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and 5 megapixel macro, while the iPhone 16e has just a 48 megapixel camera. Honestly, this segment requires a side-by-side comparison of the cameras, but I will let you know that the camera on the iPhone 16e will perform better in practically all aspects, since it has all the flagship features found on the iPhone 16e. Only drawback is that it doesn't have an ultra-wide camera. When it comes to video recording, the iPhone 16e is simply better. It offers 4K Dolby Vision recording at 60 frames per second as opposed to 4K video recording at 30 frames per second on the Galaxy A56. Alright, when it comes to security, they are very different. Apple uses something called Face ID, which is quite different from Face Unlock on the Galaxy A56, as it uses an infrared dot projection, so you don't even need to be in a lit environment for it to work. That said, the Galaxy A56 also offers an under-display optical fingerprint scanner, which is fast and reliable. Other features available on these devices are eSIM support, stereo speakers, satellite calling on the iPhone, gyroscope, and more. So, which device should you buy? Well, it's quite evident that the iPhone 16 is the more expensive and more premium device here. But apart from performance and the cameras, does it really offer that much more compared to the Galaxy A56? Well, I would say it doesn't really. I mean, if you're on a tight budget, then the Galaxy A56 is a good deal. That said, if you don't mind Apple devices and you have the money to spend, then getting the iPhone 16e is the best move. But then again, why get the iPhone 16e when you can get the iPhone 15 Pro from last year? That's another comparison on its own entirely. But then again, let me know your own thoughts in the comment section and catch you guys in the next one. Peace.